Mali military frees president, prime minister. The interim president and prime minister were released overnight around 1:30 a.m. We were true to our word, the official told AFP, speaking on condition of anonymity. Mali's interim president and premier have been released, a military official said Thursday, 3 days after they were detained and then stripped of their powers in what appeared to be the country's second coup in 9 months. The release met a new key demand of the international community but fell short of other calls for immediate return to civilian government. The interim president and prime minister were released overnight around 1:30 a.m. We were true to our word, the official told us, speaking on condition of anonymity. Family members confirmed that President Wal Nadwa and Prime Minister Mokhtar Ould have been freed. The two men have returned to their homes in the capital Bamako. Those close to them said, although the circumstances surrounding their release were unclear. The transitional leaders had been tasked with steering their return to civilian rule after a coup last August that toppled Mali's elected President Ibrahim Boubacar Keïta. Keïta was forced out by young army officers following mass protests over perceived corruption and his failure to quell a blood jihadist in the insurgency. But in a move that sparked widespread diplomatic anger, Nadwa and Cohen were detained on Monday by army officers who were apparently disgruntled by government reshuffle. The two were held at Kati military camp around 15 kilometers from Bamako. Military influence. The interim government installed under the threat of regional sanctions has the declared aim of restoring full civilian rule within 18 months. But its appointments were heavily influenced by the military. Colonel Asif Goita, who headed the post-coup junta, was named vice president and other key posts were given to army officers. On Tuesday, Goita Nadwa has been stripped of their powers. The following day, the pair resigned in the presence of mediators visiting the base at Kati as a diplomatic pressure began to mount. The UN Security Council, staging an emergency meeting at the request of former Colonel France and others, demanded the safe and immediate unconditional release of the duo and urged the restoration of the civilian-led transition. But Goita told the mediators that he intended to head the transitional government himself and name a prime minister, diplomat said. The Security Council did not discuss imposing sanctions and refrained from calling the detentions a coup. In contrast, French President Emmanuel Macron, whose country has committed more than 5,000 troops to fighting jihadism in the Sahel, said the twin arrests were a coup d'état in an unacceptable coup d'état. France and the United States and the regional bloc ECOWAS has also warned of sanctions, and the US aid to the Malian armed forces has been suspended. Thank you.